Solving a trigonometric equation. Solve sine theta equals 1/2 on this interval. Theta is in between 0 and pi over 2. Solving means we want to find the value of this angle theta so that sine of that angle is equal to 1/2. For we refer back to the unit circle. Look at here. So 1/2. As we know, these are x, y values on unit circle, and x means cosine of angle and y means sine of angle, and we are looking at 0 through pi over 2. So this is 0 radians and this is pi over 2 or 90 degrees, and we want to find the y coordinate 1/2. So if we look at here, this is 30 degrees or pi over 6. Okay, so this is true when theta is equal to pi over 6 radians. That's it. Let's look at the next example. 2 cosine theta minus root 2 equals 0, and theta is in between 0 and pi. If we come back here and look at the unit circle, 0 on the top, pi over 2, this is pi 180, and this is 3 pi over 2, 270 degrees, and back to 2 pi there. First we need to isolate the trig function. So in this case, let's isolate cosine theta. Let's add root 2 both sides. So 2 cosine theta plus root 2 equals 0 plus root 2. That's just root 2. Next, divide by 2. So cosine theta is now root 2 over 2. Now we want to find the angle theta so that cosine of that angle is equal to root 2 over 2. And we are now looking at from 0 to pi. That means here 0 all the way to pi. So first quadrant and second quadrant. Now cosine means x coordinate. Cosine means x coordinate on unit circle, root 2 over 2. So here you go. That's the root 2 over 2. And this is negative root 2 over 2. In fact, cosine has negative value in the second quadrant. So just this, and which refers to pi over 4. So when theta equals pi over 4, cosine pi over 4 is root 2 over 2. So this is just pi over 4. For the same question, if our domain here is all the way to, let's say, 2 pi, that means we need to look at first quadrant, second, third, and fourth. The same answer, but same thing, but we would have another angle as well, because cosine is positive. Where cosine means x coordinate, that's on the fourth quadrant, and here is x root 2 over 2. So this angle is, this is pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, sorry, this is 7 pi over 4. So we would have another answer, 7 pi over 4. Let's do another example. Solve 4 tangent theta plus 4 equals 0, and theta is in between 0 and 2 pi. That means we need to look at all 4 quadrants. First, we want to isolate the trigonometric function, which happens to be tangent in this case. Subtract 4 from both sides. So 4 tangent theta equals negative 4. Now divide by 4. Tangent theta equals negative 1. Okay, that implies theta equals, now we want to look for the angle theta whose tangent is negative 1. And on this unit circle, we don't have tangent. We have only cosine and sine. And tangent is, by the way, tangent is just sine over cosine. That means y over x. I need to divide y by x, and here in this case we want to get 1, and negative 1, by the way, 1 means when y and x are same, then we get 1. So look at here, root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2. So pi over 4. By the way, tangent pi over 4 is 1, but we want negative. How about here? This is 3 pi over 4. When we divide root 2 over 2 by negative root 2 over 2, we get negative 1. Negative 1 here, and here x and y are both negatives, so their ratio is positive. So that's not gonna work for us. And finally here, x is positive, y is negative. So when we divide y by x, we get negative. So tangent theta equals negative 1. Here on the second quadrant, that's 3 pi over 4. And fourth quadrant, 7 pi over 4. So we have theta equals 3 pi over 4 and 7 pi over 4. Final.